start in 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Let's ask that word of wisdom in Yeshua's precious name. Heavenly Father, open eyes and open ears this day. Let's get into the word. Deuteronomy, chapter 11. And it reads, Therefore thou shalt love the Lord thy God, and keep his charge, and his statutes, and his judgments, and his commandments always. And know ye this day, for I speak not with your children, which have not known, and which have not seen the chastisement of the Lord your God, his greatness, his mighty hand, and his stretched out arm, and his miracles and his acts, which he did in the midst of Egypt unto Pharaoh, the king of Egypt, and unto all of his land. And what he did unto the army of Egypt, unto their horses, and to their chariots, how he made the waters of the Red Sea to overflow them, as they pursued after you, and how the Lord hath destroyed them unto this day. And what he did unto you in the wilderness, until you come into this place. And what he did to Dathan and Abiram, the sons of Eliab, the son of Reuben. How the earth opened her mouth and swallowed them up, and their household, and their tents, and all of the substance that was in their possessions, in the midst of all Israel. But your eyes have seen all of the great acts of the Lord which he did. Therefore shall you keep all of the commandments which I command you this day, that you may be strong, and go in and possess the land whither you go to possess it. Verse 9. And there you may prolong your days in the land, which the Lord sware to your fathers, to give unto them and to their seed, a land that floweth with milk and honey. For the land whither thou goest in to possess it is not as the land of Egypt, from which you came out, where thou sowedest thy seed and waterest it with thy foot, as a garden of herbs. But the land whither you go to possess it is a land of hills and valleys, and drinketh water of the rain of heaven, a land which the Lord thy God careth for. The eyes of the Lord thy God are always upon it, from the beginning of the year, even until the end of the year. And if you'll notice, verse 13 starts a new paragraph. And it shall come to pass, if you shall hearken diligently unto my commandments, which I command you this day, to love the Lord your God, and to serve him with all your heart and with all of your soul, that I will give you the rain of your land in his due season, the first rain and the latter, that thou mayest gather in thy corn, and thy wine, and thine oil. And I will send grass in the fields for thy cattle, that thou mayest eat and be full. Take heed to yourselves, that your heart be not deceived, and ye turn aside and serve other gods and worship them. And then the Lord's wrath be kindled against you, and he shut up the heaven, that there be no rain, and that the land yield not her fruit. And lest you perish quickly from off of the good land which the Lord giveth you. Therefore shall you lay up these my words in your heart and in your soul, and bind them for a sign upon your hand, that it may be as frontments between your eyes. And you shall teach them to your children, speaking of them, when thou sittest in thy house, when thou walkest by the way, when thou liest down, and when thou risest up. Paul said it this way: bring every thought back to the obedience of Christ Jesus. Verse 20. And thou shalt write them upon the doorpost of thy house and upon thy gates, that your days may be multiplied, and the days of your children, in the land which the Lord sware unto your fathers to give them, as the days of heaven upon the earth. For if you shall diligently keep all of these commandments which I command you, to do them, to love the Lord your God, to walk in all of his ways, and to cleave unto him, then will the Lord drive out all of these nations from before you, and you shall possess greater nations and mightier than yourselves. Every place whereon your soul, the soles of your feet shall tread, shall be yours, from the wilderness of Lebanon, from the river Euphrates, even unto the uttermost sea shall your coast be. And I still say them boundaries are still in effect today. But we'll go on. There shall no man be able to stand before you, for the Lord your God shall lay the fear of you and the dread of you upon all of the land, that you shall tread upon, as he has said unto you. Behold, I set before you this day a blessing and a curse. A blessing, if you obey the commandments of the Lord your God, which I commanded you this day. There's that big old word if. And a curse, if you will not obey the commandments of the Lord your God, but turn aside out of the way, which I commanded you this day, to go after other gods, which you have not known. You know what other gods he's talking about? Santa Claus, Osterhaz. How did the bunny rabbit get into the church of God? How did that happen? And it shall come to pass, when the Lord thy God hath brought thee in unto the land whither thou goest to possess it, that thou shalt put the blessing upon Mount Gerizim, and the curse upon Mount Ebal. Are they not on the other side of Jordan, by the way where the sun goeth down, in the land of the Canaanites, which dwell in the Champaign, over against Gilead, beside the plains of Moreh? Champaign is a flat valley, flat, clear valley, I guess. For you shall pass over Jordan, to go in to possess the land which the Lord your God giveth you, and you shall possess it and dwell therein. And you shall observe to do all the statutes and the judgments which I have set before you this day. Chapter 12. These are the statutes and judgments which you shall observe to do in the land which the Lord God of thy fathers giveth thee to possess it, all of the days that you live upon the earth. It is a shame that most Christian preachers do not know the difference between statutes, ordinances, and law, nor do they understand that the blood ordinances and the blood statutes was nailed to the cross. Verse 2. You shall utterly destroy all of the places wherein the nation which you shall possess serve their gods, upon the high mountain and upon the hills, under every green tree. You know what they was doing in them green trees? And you shall overthrow their altars, and break their pillars, and burn their groves with fire. You shall hew down the graven images of their gods, and destroy the name of them out of that place. You shall not do so unto the Lord your God, but unto the place which the Lord your God shall choose out of all of your tribes, to put his name there. Even unto his habitation shall you seek, and thither thou shalt come. And thither you shall bring your burnt offerings, and your sacrifices, and your tithes, and your heave offerings of your hand, and your vows, and your freewill offering, and the firstling of your herds, and of your flocks. And there you shall eat before the Lord your God, and you shall rejoice in all that you put your hand unto, ye and your household, wherein the Lord thy God hath blessed thee. You shall not do after all of the things that we do here this day, every man whosoever is right in his own eyes. For you are not as yet come to the rest and to the habitation which the Lord your God giveth you. We got a rest and a habitation that we got to go into too. But when you go over Jordan and dwell in the land which the Lord your God giveth you to inherit it, and when he giveth you rest from all of your enemies round about, so that you dwell in safety, then there shall be a place which the Lord your God shall choose to cause his name to dwell there. Thither shall you bring all that I command you, your burnt offerings and your sacrifices, your tithes and your heave offerings of your hand, and all your choice vows which you vow unto the Lord. And you shall rejoice before the Lord your God, ye and your sons and your daughters and your men servants and your maid servants, and the Levite that is within your gates. For as much as you have no part nor inheritance with you, take heed to yourself that thou offer not thy burnt offerings in every place that thou seest, but in the place which the Lord shall choose in one of thy tribes. There thou shalt offer thy burnt offerings, and there thou shalt do all that I command thee. Notwithstanding thou mayest kill and eat flesh in all of thy gates, whatsoever thy soul lusteth after, according to the blessing of the Lord thy God, which he hath given thee. The unclean and clean may eat thereof, as of the roebuck, as of the hart. Only you shall not eat the blood. You shall pour it upon the earth as water. Thou mayest not eat within thy gates the tithe of thy corn, or thy wine, or thy oil, or the firstling of thy herds, or of thy flock, nor of any of thy vows which thou vowest, nor thy freewill offering, or heave offering of thy hand. But thou shalt eat them before the Lord thy God, in the place which the Lord thy God shall choose. Thou and thy son and thy daughters and thy manservant and thy maidservant, and the Levite that was in thy gates. And thou shalt rejoice before the Lord thy God, as thou did, let me try verse 18 again. But thou must eat them before the Lord thy God in the place where the Lord thy God shall choose. Thou and thy son and thy daughter and thy manservant and thy maidservant and the Levite that is within thy gates, and thou shalt rejoice before the Lord thy God in all that thou puttest thy hand unto. Take heed to thyself that thou forsake not the Levite, as long as thou livest upon the earth. When the Lord thy God shall enlarge thy border, as he hath promised thee, and thou shalt say, I will eat flesh, because thy soul loveth to eat flesh. Thou mayest eat flesh whatsoever thy soul lusteth after. If the place which the Lord thy God hath chosen to put his name there is too far from thee, then thou shalt kill of thy herd and of thy flock, which the Lord hath given thee, as I have commanded thee, and thou shalt eat in thy gates whatsoever thy soul lusteth after. Verse 22, even as the roebuck and as the hart is eaten, so thou shalt eat them, and the unclean and the clean shall eat of them alike. Only be sure that thou eat not the blood, for the blood is the life, and thou mayest not eat the life with the flesh. Thou shalt not eat it. Thou shalt pour it upon the earth as water. Thou shalt not eat it, that it may go well with thee, and with thy children after thee, when thou shalt do that which is right in the sight of the Lord. Only thy holy things which thou hast, and thy vows, thou shalt take, and go into the place which the Lord shall choose. And thou shalt offer thy burnt offerings, the flesh, and the blood, upon the altar of the Lord thy God, and the blood of the sacrifice shall be poured out upon the altar of the Lord thy God, and thou shalt eat the flesh. Observe to hear all these words which I command thee, that it may go well with thee, and with thy children after thee forever. When thou doest that which is good and right in the sight of the Lord thy God, when the Lord thy God shall cut off the nations from before thee, whither thou goest to possess them, and thou succeedest them, and dwellest in their land. Verse 30, take heed to yourselves that thou be not snared by following them, after that they be destroyed from before thee, that thou inquire not after their gods, saying, how did these nations serve their gods? Question. Even so will I do likewise. Thou shalt not do so unto the Lord thy God, for every abomination to the Lord which he hateth have they done unto their gods. And even their sons and their daughters they have burnt in the fire to their gods. What things soever I command you, observe to do it. Thou shalt not add thereto, nor diminish from it. Chapter 13. If there arise among you a prophet or a dreamer of dreams, and giveth thee a sign or a wonder, and the sign or the wonder come to pass, wherefore he spake unto thee, saying, let us go after other gods, which thou hast not known, and let us serve them. Thou shalt not hearken unto the words of that prophet, or that dreamer of dreams, for the Lord your God proveth you to know whether you love the Lord your God with all of your heart and with all of your soul. You go following some man, I had a dream. Well, that's what you're going to get. Verse 4, you shall walk after the Lord your God and fear him, and keep his commandments and obey his voice. And you shall serve him, and cleave unto him, And that prophet or that dreamer of dreams shall be put to death, because he has spoken to turn you away from the Lord your God, which brought you out of the land of Egypt, and redeemed you out of the house of bondage, to thrust thee out of the way which the Lord thy God commanded thee to walk in. So shalt thou put the evil away from the midst of thee. If thy brother, the son of thy mother, or thy son or thy daughter, or the wife of thy bosom, or thy friend, which is thine own soul, entice thee secretly, saying, Let us go and serve other gods, which thou hast not known, thou nor thy fathers, namely of the gods of the people which are round about you, nigh unto thee, or far off from thee, from the one end of the earth even unto the other end of the earth. Thou shalt not consent unto him, nor hearken unto him, neither shalt thine eye pity him, neither shalt thou spare, neither shalt thou conceal. But thou shalt surely kill him, thy hand shall be first upon him to put him to death, and afterwards the hand of all of the people. And thou shalt stone him with stones, that he die, because he had sought to thrust thee away from the Lord thy God, which brought thee out of the land of Egypt, from the house of bondage. And all Israel shall hear and fear, and shall do no more any such wickedness as this is among you. If thou shalt hear say in one of thy cities, which the Lord God hath given thee, to dwell there, saying, Certain men and certain children of Belial are gone out from among you, and have withdrawn the inhabitants of their city, saying, Let us go and serve other gods which you have not known. Then shalt thou inquire and make search, and ask diligently, and behold, if it be true, and the thing certain, that such abomination is wrought among you. I didn't do that right, did I? Let's try verse 14 again. Then thou shalt inquire and make search, and ask diligently, and behold, if it be true and the thing certain, that such abomination is wrought among you, then thou shalt surely smite the inhabitants of that city with the edge of the sword, destroying it utterly, and all that is therein, the cattle thereof, with the edge of the sword. And thou shalt gather all of the spoil of it into the midst of the street thereof, and shalt burn with fire the city, and all of the spoil thereof, every whit. For the Lord thy God, it shall be a heap forever, it shall not be built again. And there shall cleave not of the cursed thing to thy hand, that the Lord thy God turn from the fierceness of his anger, and show thee mercy, and have compassion upon thee, and multiply thee as he has sworn unto thy fathers. Verse 18, when thou shalt hearken unto the voice of the Lord thy God, to keep all of his commandments, which I command thee this day, to do that which is right in the sight of the Lord thy God. Chapter 14, ye are the children of the Lord your God. You shall not cut yourselves, nor make any baldness between your eyes for the dead. For thou art a holy people unto the Lord thy God, and the Lord hath chosen thee to be a peculiar people unto himself. If you're out doing everything that everybody else is doing, how are you peculiar? Above all of the nations that are upon the earth, thou shalt not eat any abominable thing. Thou art, these are the beasts which ye shall eat: the ox, the sheep, and the goat, the hart, and the roebuck, and the fallow deer, and the wild goat, and the pagara, and the wild ox, and the camus, and every beast that parteth the hoof and cleaveth the claw into two claws, and cheweth the cud among the beasts, that you shall eat. Nevertheless, these you shall not eat of them that chew the cud, or of them that divideth the cloven hoof, as the camel, and the hare, and the corny, for they chew the cud, but divide not the hoof. Therefore they are unclean to you. And the swine. In case people don't know, that means a pig, bacon, ham, all of that. The swine, because it divideth the hoof, yet cheweth not the cud, it is unclean unto you. You shall not eat of their flesh, nor touch their dead carcasses. Now that's just as plain and as simple as anybody. But anybody that comes and tells you that Jesus said it's okay to eat the pig, well, you want to follow them, then hey, have a good trip. Verse 9. These you shall eat of all that are in the water. All that have fins and scales shall you eat. And whatsoever hath not fins or scales you may not eat, it is unclean unto you. Verse 11. Of all clean birds you shall eat, but these are they of which you shall not eat: the eagle, and the ostrich, and the osprey, and the glede, and the kite, and the vulture after his kind, and every raven after his kind, and the owl, and the night hawk, and the cock owl, and the hawk after his kind, the little owl, and the great owl, and the swan, and the pelican, and the guard eagle, and the cormorant, and the stork, and the heron after her kind, and the lapwing, and the bat. All coronaviruses comes from bats. The only way it's transferred to humans is through pig and camel. The Bible just tells us right here, don't eat bat, don't eat camel, and don't eat pig. So, and this is verse 19, and every creeping thing that flieth is unclean to you, they shall not be eaten. But of all clean fowls you may eat. You shall not eat of anything that dieth of itself. That shall you give unto the stranger that is in your gate, that he may eat it, or thou mayst sell it unto an alien. For thou art a holy people unto the Lord thy God. Thou shalt not see the kid in his mother's milk. It's just having respect for the animal. Thou shalt truly tithe all of the increase of thy seed, that the field bringeth forth year by year. And thou shalt eat there before the Lord thy God, in the place which you shall choose to place his name there. And the tithes of thy corn, and of thy wine, and of thy oil, and the firstling of thy herds, and of thy flocks, that thou mayest learn to fear the Lord thy God always. And if the way be too long for thee, so that thou art not able to carry it, or if the place be too far from thee, which the Lord thy God shall choose to set his name there, when the Lord thy God hath blessed thee. Then thou shalt turn it into money, and bind it up the money in thy hand, and shalt go into the place which the Lord thy God shall choose. And thou shalt bestow the money for whatsoever thy soul lusteth after, for oxen, and for sheep, and for wine, and for strong drink, and for whatsoever thy soul desireth. And thou shalt eat there before the Lord thy God. Thou shalt rejoice, thou and thine household. And the Levite that is within thy gates, and thou shalt not forsake him, for he hath no part, nor inheritance with thee. At the end of 3 years, thou shalt bring forth all of the tithe of thine increase, the same year, and shalt lay it upon thy gates. And the Levite, because he hath no part nor inheritance with thee, and the stranger, and the fatherless, and the widows, which are within thy gates, shall come and shall eat and be satisfied, that the Lord thy God may bless thee in all of the work of thy hand, which thou doest. We're instructed to take care of the poor people. Chapter 15. At the end of every 7 years thou shalt make a release. And this is the manner of the release: every creditor that lendeth aught unto his neighbor shall release it. He shall not extract it of his neighbor or of his brother, because it is called the Lord's release. Of a foreigner thou mayest extract it again, but that which is thine with thy brother, thy hand shall release, save when thou shalt be no poor among you. For the Lord shall greatly bless thee in the land which the Lord thy God giveth thee for an inheritance to possess it. Only if thou carefully hearken unto the voice of the Lord thy God, to observe to do all of these commandments which I command thee this day. For the Lord thy God bless thee, as he promised thee, and thou shalt lend unto many nations, but thou shalt not borrow. And thou shalt reign over many nations, but thou shalt not reign, they shall not reign over thee. If there be among you a poor man of one of thy brethren within thy gate, and within any of thy gates, in that land which the Lord thy God giveth thee, thou shalt not harden thy heart, nor shut thy hand from thy poor brother, but thou shalt open thy hand wide unto him, and shalt surely lend unto him sufficiently for his need, in that which he wanteth. Beware that there be not a thought in thy wicked heart, saying, the 7th year, the year of release, is at hand, and thy eye be evil against thy poor brother, and thou givest him not, and he cry unto the Lord against thee, and it be sin unto thee. Thou shalt surely give him, and thy heart shall not be grieved when thou givest unto him. Because that for this thing the Lord thy God shall bless thee in all of thy works, and in all that thou puttest thy hand unto. For the poor shall never cease out of the land. Therefore I command thee, saying, thou shalt open thy hand wide unto thy brother, to thy poor and to thy needy in thy land. And if thy brother, an Hebrew or an Hebrew woman, be sold unto thee, and serve thee 6 years. Then in the 7th year thou shalt let him go free from thee. And when thou sendest him out free from thee, thou shalt not let him go away empty. Thou shalt furnish him liberally out of thy flock, out of thy floor, and out of thy winepress. For that where try verse 14 again. Thou shalt furnish him liberally out of thy flock, and out of thy floor, and out of thy winepress. Of that wherewith the Lord thy God hath blessed thee, thou shalt give unto him. Thou shalt remember that thou was a bondman in the land of Egypt, and the Lord thy God redeemed thee. Therefore I command thee this thing this day. And it shall be, if he say unto thee, I will not go away from thee, because he loveth thee and thy house, because he is well with thee. Then thou shalt take an hog, and thrust it through his ear unto the door, and he shall be thy servant forever. And also unto thy maidservant thou shalt do likewise. It shall not seem hard unto thee when thou sendest him away free from thee, for he hath been worth a double hired servant to thee, in serving thee 6 years. And the Lord thy God shall bless thee in all that thou doest. Verse 19 starts a new paragraph. All of the firstling males that come of the herd and of the flock, thou shalt sacrifice unto the Lord thy God. Thou shalt do no work with the firstling of thy bullock, nor shear the firstling of thy sheep. Thou shalt eat it before the Lord thy God, year by year, in the place which the Lord shall choose, thou and thy household. And if there be any blemish therein, as if it be lame or blind, or hath any ill blemish, thou shalt not sacrifice it unto the Lord thy God. Thou shalt eat it within thy gates. The unclean and the clean person shall eat it alike, and the roebuck as the roebuck, and as the hart. Only thou shalt not eat the blood thereof. Thou shalt pour it upon the ground as water. We'll leave it there today. May the Lord bless you and keep you. May the Lord make his face shine upon you and be gracious unto you. The Lord lift up his countenance unto you and give you peace. And I hope you got something out of it.